Hello there. I'm fairly new to married life. Having decided with my spouse to focus on our careers and enjoy our time together before starting a family, we actually work at the same company. My life has had its ups and downs. I have a younger brother, 5 years my junior, and when I was in my early 20s, my mom suffered a stroke and passed away shortly after. Despite the doctor's grim prognosis, it was a devastating time for our family, especially since my mom was the youngest of 3 sisters, all of whom lived in Australia. They rushed over to be with her in her final days. After her passing, my high school-aged brother was inconsolable, and my dad and I were engulfed in grief as we arranged her funeral. My aunt stayed with us for a month to help out, which was a blessing because my parents had a very loving relationship. My dad, who was in his late 40s, a relatively young age, struggled a lot with her death. Friends suggested he remarry for the sake of us sons, and surprisingly, he remarried within a year. It was astonishing how he found such a gem. My stepmom was in her mid-40s and a relative of someone my father knew well. She had been running her own business and had delayed marriage. At the time of the remarriage, she owned a brunch cafe, renowned and well-reviewed online, located near a subway station. Despite her busy schedule, she always treated us kindly, preparing delicious meals and desserts. She even encouraged my brother to bring friends over for lavish meals. Her warmth won over my dad and brother. However, my dad's remarriage didn't last, ending in divorce due to a significant mistake on his part. We were all saddened to lose the warmth she brought to our home. I thanked her for her kindness, and I even told my dad he no longer deserved a family life if he could not appreciate a wonderful and hardworking wife like her. My brother was equally disappointed. My father is quite wealthy, having provided me with an apartment during my college years, which is where I started my married life. My stepmom decided not to pursue alimony since the marriage was short-lived and she was quite capable on her own, so they went through with a mutual divorce. I graduated from a community college. I wasn't the most diligent student in high school, but I earned several certifications in college and gained recognition for my diligence after entering the workforce. I met my wife at work. She approached me first, saying she had never met a man as young and diligent as I was. We work shifts at our company, which is a subsidiary of a major corporation, so the pay is quite good. My schedule alternates between morning and afternoon shifts. When I'm on mornings, my routine is like any other office workers, but the afternoon shift means working till dawn and sleeping in the morning. I live in an apartment I got while in college. I used to rent it out before getting married, but we moved in after doing some light renovations. The building is 6 years old and more units are being renovated. My wife, who works a desk job and comes home in the evening, mentioned seeing a notice about interior work in our building, indicating someone was moving into the floor below us. One morning, as I was trying to sleep after my shift, I was jolted awake by the noise of construction from below. It seemed they were doing some particularly loud tile work in the bathroom that day. Despite the intrusion on my rest, I became curious about how the new neighbors were fitting out their place. When I went downstairs to see, I found workers busy at work, and to my utter surprise, my stepmom was there. I was so shocked I blurted out, "What are you doing here?" She was just as surprised to see me. "I bought this place at an auction for a good price," she explained. I was thrilled to see her again. I told her I was living here with my wife, and we had been married for a year, which surprised her greatly. We exchanged contact information and invited her over a few days later. During her visit, she couldn't stop praising me to my wife, saying how kind and diligent I was, made her remarriage life easy, and how she often missed me after the divorce. While some might find it odd, becoming neighbors has allowed us to meet more frequently. She often invites us to her cave, and my savvy wife has even promoted her stepmom's business on social media, which has significantly boosted its success, even leading to waiting lines. My stepmom, who also works full-time, was always thoughtful about meals, knowing how challenging it can be to manage them. She made sure to provide food without putting any pressure on my wife. It seemed like my wife saw her more as a big sister. Then, when my wife earned a reward trip to Singapore from her company, I found myself batching it for a few days. After a long day at work, I was relaxing at home one evening when my stepmom showed up. She brought over a bunch of my favorite beers and snacks, which was a delightful surprise. She mentioned she finished work early because supplies ran out quickly, all thanks to my wife, expressing her gratitude. My stepmom, having been too busy to catch a movie lately, suggested we kick back with some beers and relax. She quickly freshened up and changed, and we settled on the living room couch to comfortably watch a movie. Although I had seen the movie before, I watched it again for her sake. She was thrilled to finally get some rest. Later, she asked if she could stay the night, which caught me off guard, but I didn't show it. I prepared the bedroom for her and opted to sleep on the couch. However, she soon came out, insisting she couldn't sleep in the newlyweds' bed, and asked me to take the room. While she took the couch, her look carrying a hint of regret, my stepmom, still beautiful in her 50s, and I ended up being drawn to each other that night. As dawn broke, she mentioned, albeit shyly, how much she enjoyed it. I felt a pang of guilt, thinking about how she lost a precious family due to my father, and how lonely she must feel, especially since she hardly meets friends due to her busy schedule. From that day until my wife returned, my stepmom and I spent every day together. She continued to be a caring big sister to my wife, even meeting up with her at the store with friends and giving her some pocket money for promotional purposes. There were also secret meetings with my stepmom after my night shifts, feeling guilty about it, but also feeling the need to support her loneliness. We would use my stepmom's car to avoid my wife's suspicion. The dilemma now is whether continuing these secret meetings is the best way to help, or if perhaps introducing her to a wonderful man in her age group might be a better solution.